Welcome to the Leadership in Law podcast with host Marilyn Jenkins. Cut through the noise, get actionable insights and inspiring stories delivered straight to your ears. Your ultimate podcast for navigating the ever-changing world of law firm ownership. In each episode, we dive deep into the critical topics that matter most to you, from unlocking explosive growth to building a thriving team. We connect you with successful firm leaders and industry experts who share their proven strategies and hard-won wisdom. So, whether you're a seasoned leader or just starting your journey as a law firm owner, the Leadership in Law podcast is here to equip you with the knowledge and tools you need to build a successful and fulfilling legal practice.
Welcome to another episode of the Leadership in Law podcast. I'm your host, Marilyn Jenkins. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Dr. Don Simmonds, to the show today. As a trademark attorney with over a decade of experience specializing in intellectual property law and more recently artificial intelligence, Don brings a unique perspective to the intersection of law, technology, and innovation. His work focuses on helping businesses from startups to industry leaders navigate the complex legal landscape of IP and AI. Whether it's protecting AI-generated innovations, addressing trademark challenges in an algorithm-driven world, or exploring the ethical implications of AI and creativity, he's dedicated his career to making these intricate topics accessible and actionable for non-legal audiences. I'm excited to have you here, Don. Welcome.
Thank you, Marilyn. Very happy to be here.
Thanks. That's great. You had mentioned in our pre-interview that you had access to OpenAI way before it was ChatGPT. You had early access. Tell us a little bit about that. That sounds super exciting, knowing what's come out already.
Well, yeah, just by curiosity, I should say, I happened to stumble on OpenAI. They did have ChatGPT, but the version they had, I think, was like GPT-2 or something like that. The version that everyone was writing about was that September, I think, of the year that was released. ChatGPT. But I was there basically because I had curiosity and an idea in AI and AI, just using AI for law. And so I had basically opened an account for those who were developers or interested in developing. So we submitted my application because they had to approve here. Then I got approval, and they and basically did nothing for a few months. And because I was so busy. But then GPT came out, I was reading about it, and I already had access. So I had API, I had computer access. You was able to actually use it, and of course, it's amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah. Everybody, I think, is dabbling in it a little bit. I know a lot of people that are using it on a daily basis, or at least a version, whether it's Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT, and of course, DeepSeek now. And it does bring up some questions. You know, we're creating content, whether it's articles or, just helping answer questions, but some people are doing creative stuff like videos and audios, images. Who owns the rights to AI-generated content?
Currently, the big question. Right now, still rests with the creator of the AI. There isn't any clear legislation that says AI would be able to own its own creation. And there's a good reason for that. How would we determine that the AI knew or has the intent to do something with the actual event? The IP that it creates. Not a lie. It's not independent. And so I equate it to some degree like a child being able to create their own artwork and all that. Although the child is alive and it doesn't have the ability to transaction as an adult. And that sort of quality or interaction that you would need in order to give that child the right over its arts. And that's why they generally have to wait until a certain age when they're able to use their art in a certain way that until then, the parents that basically run. And I think for AI, it would basically kind of continuing that way in that the creator is the one that Russia. Now, at some point, there might be AI that is independent and, decide what wants to do and how. And so that point, when we cross that bridge, then we can make a decision on that.
Yeah, so I agree. I consider it a tool that, it's doing things on my prompts. I'm telling it what I want and it's creating that stuff. So I see it as a tool so that what it's creating or giving me is something that I created. So I heard other sides of the argument, and I just, at this point in time, I completely agree with you. It's not an independent that could do this on its own. It's not coming up with these ideas and doing it. So thinking about you work with intellectual property, how is AI disrupting the traditional intellectual property laws?
I mean, a lot of people are building with a lot of books are being created, a lot of art is being created. Clearly, that's a new there. It's almost much no Revit in the IP field. And I think that AI is also benefiting from other AI copyright, meaning being trained on IP, writing, all that. And that is the area where there is a bit of controversy. Because if you are really being trained on copyrighted material, and the person that created that should be rewarded with revenue as how to train the AI. So that is going through the course right. And the thing is, it's difficult to tell if you just use the AI whether it was trained on a specific piece of material, because it's always answer exactly the same way each time it's used. So this bit of an area that it's gray, and they're trying to figure out what the parser.
Well, and I think, was it just maybe 6 months ago that Microsoft Word upgraded and added one of the things in the options, a tick box, that you would allow your documents to be used to train Microsoft's AI Copilot?
No, I didn't know that. This is news to me. A lot of platforms are doing that. I know that Facebook is doing that. Yeah. Net, I guess.
Yeah.
The whole.
Yeah, I think some you have control over. Meta maybe not, but I think if I'm writing documents, I use Word to format the books that I write. So do you want your creation, maybe before you publish it, to be available to train AI? My answer is no. So I quickly turn that off. But, so it is an interesting time to be in. I absolutely agree. Now, if you're, thinking about a small business, a law firm doing some branding or working on that sort of thing, how do you protect your brand in these days with, algorithms and automation and all these kinds of things?
When you say how do you protect your brand at the client to somebody at the client who has a trademark brand, or what?
Well, say, yeah. So I've trademarked. So I've got a trademark of Law Marketing Zone. So is there some way that I might have that trademark might be endangered because of, I don't know, I mean, automations, algorithms, AI? What is it training on? Do we need to watch for that? And
Well, it's a good question. AI, it's really hard to sort of trace how it's being trained. It's really difficult to use. And then, how is the AI using the training data if it responds to an inquiry or question? If there's anything I could say is like, all right, you have a trademark. Is it registered somewhere, like in the U.S., Canada, whatever country you might use to provide services or goods? That's like your first step. At least do that.
Okay.
And then anything else, that's a little more. Especially when it comes to AI, it's hard to determine where an AI is infringing on your trademark. It's like written on the website, and you're seeing your trademark there. Okay, there's one clear issue, but responding to a question, and then it uses your trademark. How is it using? Is it just responding to your question, or is it, it's trying to brand something and use your trademark in that branding process? That's where you have to sort of investigate and see if it's something to be compensated.
Okay. So, and I guess, and when you're thinking about we're using ChatGPT or any of the AI, I'm assuming we built a GPT, but it's an agent on any other platform, right? So some people are building agents to manage part of their business or part of their workflow. We created a GPT for immigration attorneys that basically has all the immigration law up to date as well, and can answer in various languages, and that works incredibly well. You built one for yourself, right? But you added a layer of software on top. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure thing. And we actually, it's funny you should mention that, had your GPT referred to a specific database as soon as case law, so that when it was spawned, or at least notes the legislation. In my situation, I was in trademark law responsive to what we call office actions. This is when the government organization sends you a response saying, "Oh, you applied for a trademark. We've refused it, and this is the." And usually it's because of confusion, meaning there's a registered trademark, or your trademark is descriptive of an goods, and thus we must refuse that. We would then receive this office action, and then as long as the client approved, I would draft a response. It would take usually a day and a half to draft, and then send it in as a response, hoping that the government would approve, or the examining attorney would approve the response. However, after many years of doing this, even when I was able to obtain some templates to make things easier, the time was still, at least the day, is more, depending on how many issues. I needed to cut it down to much less because I was losing. Just say I needed to have more time to do other things, and didn't have enough time to complete these office actions, which I was just receiving quite a few of, and really do it effectively. So what happened was, all right, I had access to ChatGPT, I have access to the API. What can I come up with? And it took me about 3 months to create this layer algorithms where I have basically used ChatGPT to respond to office action, but it would do it in a way that was formulaic, and provide a draft that was one that most attorneys would have thought useful, meaning this is what they would normally argue when they were responding to an office action. The idea was create a form during the information requested that would help the GPT answer. The GPT would respond by all referring to case law that we created in a database similar to what you have. The database that addresses the issue of making up case law, which GPT used to about, and we didn't want that. And thus, when we created our own database, which is regular, the GPT would provide arguments, refer to case law that is legitimate, and then send it to us. And it would do this within 5 minutes. So what would take a day, maybe a day and a half, and is now to basically 5 minutes, depending on how long you took them and the answers. And usually long could take you at 20 minutes. Some people learn. So the idea was, now we have something that used to take hours, now it takes only minutes. And it is just as good as an original an attorney. Usually, in fact, I feel it's better, but there are less errors, spelling, grammatical. And we've actually assessed my writing before GPT, the ones that I submitted before versus the ones I submitted after. The GPT is as good, if not better, than what I had already done. In terms of the amount of submissions, registration accrual. So we're really happy with it. It's called Bron AI, Bron, BRON-AI.com. And we are now catering to U.S. attorneys, EU attorneys.
Fantastic. We'll make sure that link is in the show notes as well. That's great. So what you've done is in what I've read and spoken to other attorneys about is they built something that does a good or better job with a lot less time so they can do a better representation with their clients. That's fantastic. And now you've expanded from the EU market into the US and the Canadian market. Now, are you having it like recite the case law so you can confirm that, yes, it's correct, or whatever cases it's referring to? Because I've spoke with some other people that are doing that. So whenever they're running, the whether it's an opinion or whatever, they're having it cite that so they can confirm that these are actual real cases instead of like that. What was it last year? The brief came out that had cases that didn't exist.
Yeah, and that was, everyone that was excited about ChatGPT, I was, using it as much, and the attorney would use it just to see. But yeah, the hallucinations, or we call it, the fake case law that was rampant, caused a lot of problems, especially for lawyers that were using it, courthouse, wherever they decided to use it. And we there was no way we were going to try Central BT. What it does is references our database of case law. And at the beginning, I would check it from time to time just to make sure it was not making up case law, or definitely referencing only the one that we provided. And it didn't. It never went beyond, always referenced the case law.
Okay, so you're making the guardrails. You're giving it the database to make sure it doesn't. Okay, that's a good way of doing it. Keeping it within the rails.
Yeah, and obviously there might be a point where GPT is so great, knows all the case law, and and you'll never have to worry about hallucination. I don't know when that is. Could be a few years. Who knows? But until that point, I'm always going to make sure that it references our own database, our databases regularly, and the best we can for it at this point.
Excellent. Have you tried or tested out any of the other AI platforms?
Yes. So, there's quite so many. Or
they are now, yes.
Now you basically, I don't think you can go wrong. I've been trying ChatGPT, of course, DeepSeek. Here's a new one by, I use Claude. I've Llama models. I've used Perplexity, which is actually using ChatGPT or DeepSeek. I've used the new Alibaba model. I can't remember. So I've used them all, and they all have their own style, their own way of responding. And that's interesting. I'm learning which one is better for what. And for code creation, and it's a learning process right now. I don't know. Have you used, I think you said you've used a couple of 5.1.
Yeah, we built obviously the GPT through ChatGPT. I've used Claude for writing, Gemini for writing, especially if you're writing about Google products or something, or getting ideas, writing outlines, that sort of thing. And recently I found 1minute.ai or 1minuteai.com. I think it's 1min.ai. Anyway, I have to look. It's interesting in that it references you like a desk. So say you are a social media person, then you need to have writing and social media posts and that sort of thing. It takes and access all the different AI platforms in a drop-down box for a particular task. So it's the software over it, but it has access to all these different ones. And I'm telling you, once it updates, I had no idea. Like you said, there's so many tools. I haven't played with the Llama or the Alibaba one, but Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT and DeepSeek are the ones that I typically spend my time on. And so it's been a real interesting to play with that. I got the lifetime deal way back, I think in December, Black Friday or something like that, Cyber Monday. And it's just been a very interesting tool to be able to see some of the other platforms and compare. I'll use the same prompt on a different one just to see what comes up. And speaking of prompts, obviously, to get the good results, you want to have a good prompt. How do you handle improving your prompts or helping people improve their prompting? What's your plan to grow your law firm's sales and profits in 2025? My name is Marilyn Jenkins, and I want to take a quick moment to share something I'm super excited about. It's called the Law Firm Growth Guild. It's your shortcut to mastering marketing and getting more clients. It's sponsored by Law Marketing Zone. If you're a lawyer or a law firm owner who's been feeling overwhelmed, juggling clients, leading your team, and trying to scale without losing your sanity, I get it. It's a lot. That's exactly why I created this online membership community. I've been working with law firms since 2018, and I've worked with and helped hundreds of firms across the U.S. and Canada to grow and scale their firms beyond where they had ever been before. The Law Firm Growth Guild is designed to help you understand marketing strategies and grow your firm smarter and to scale your firm predictively. And here's the best part. It's only a fraction of the price of a cup of coffee daily. My team and I are adding new content weekly, and you can be intentional about your growth and development each week. All of our webinars and workshops are in the community, and a first good workshop is all about setting your vision for your strategy for 2025. We've got workbooks, spreadsheets, and everything to walk you through setting up your marketing plan for 2025. Getting crystal clear on where you're going and how to get there. Imagine walking into this new year with confidence, with a plan, and with the tools to make 2025 into your best year yet. Don't get left behind. Join the community now and jumpstart your growth for 2025 and beyond. Click the link in the show notes or visit checkout.lawmarketingzone.com to find out more and to join the community. Let's grow your firm together. I can't wait to see you on the inside of the Law Firm Growth Guild.
What I've found is that, and this might be strange for certain, the next high-level paid position of career is actually for somebody who had an English language at a degree level, because prompt engineering is really about being able to use your language or speak English or any other language. But the idea is to know the language so well that when you're speaking to the AI responds according to what you would like the response that you want. And a lot of people make this error, and they think, oh, it's so hard to use, and it's not giving me the answer I need. I would say, if you're going to get better at your English. That's right. But and being in law, you know that the words mean things in law, like they're not trivial. They won't change the contract. They will change so many things if you use the wrong word in the wrong way, and common. All these things that have an effect. The GPT is linear, but still really benefits to have great language you're using it. And I think that was already beneficial to me, meaning because I in law, I knew about words and how to use them, and so it would be hard for me to say, well, just do this and you'll be fine, because I already had an advantage. The best way to approach it might be to ask GPT to help you answer a question by asking it to give you the prompt. And
I started to, that's one thing I've heard about is people saying, these are the things I'm looking for. Give me a prompt to ask you that.
Yeah. It's sort of doing it backwards, but it works.
Yeah. Now, have you found that it's also, you get better results? And I found this, but I'm just curious of what other people are doing. If you tell it what you want it to act as. So if I'm looking to do something that's marketing or copywriting or, whatever it happens to be, if I tell it to be an expert of that in the voice of, say, Dan Kennedy, or thinking of a Zig Ziglar, salesperson or marketing. So I'm giving it a voice. Then it turns around and gives me the answer based on what I'm looking for more. Do you find that you do the same thing, or is that something that you'd recommend as well?
I definitely, especially when it comes to legal matters, and tend to go, you're an attorney or you're paralegal, and you're in this, please give me a response based on this information. And it does provide a response than if you just ask the question. The context helps. It really does.
Yeah. And it's a completely different answer than if you just ask a question. So that's very interesting. Well, in your opinion, what do you think is the future of IP law when you're looking at as AI continues to disrupt industries?
I think IT has been the most valuable, although the most, I think it's going to be more apparent as things move because it is IT that's training these AIs. And
Yeah.
the AI will be the thing I think will be one of the biggest revolutions, even after the age. And I do this was a long time ago. We have been talking about it many years. A lot was assumed to be here by a certain. We just didn't know when. Now that it's clearly making headways, and this is only what a couple of years after ChatGPT, and we're having, million token 6 billion, sorry, I don't know, parameters for each version of one. They're using it in different ways, like robots now, and computers are automatically part of it, part of apps now, where you almost can't escape it. It's pretty much pervasive, but we're still hurt. We still can. Still is that IP is going to be needed to train this, to make them better, to make them much, and or the value of IP is going to go up. And what's going on is that people are using AI to create things like doing that right order. There's sort of the AI is feeding off AI situation, which kind of want to address might not lead to better answers and better.
Now,
No.
looking and I want to be respectful of your time, but I wanted to ask about DeepSeek. So you've spent a lot of time with OpenAI with ChatGPT, and then you tested some of the others. How do you feel about, or what are your thoughts about DeepSeek being open source? So, I mean, if you had the power, you could run it yourself. But how do you feel about them as a competition to, say, the expensive high end ChatGPT?
It's funny because we kind of knew this was coming. Meta was releasing LLMs for, for 18 years. And I think at one point they're a source of open source. But I think the difference with the DeepSeek was that it was cost a whole lot less trade compared to the other models, which I think that was the big game changer. And yeah, I think I don't mind using either, but currently, because I think they're kind of, but because it's so much cheaper to use DeepSeek, it's an attractive series because either in the part, I don't know how much the difference there is between the two. There are differences. Are they glaring? I don't. They're glaring.
Now, I've tested, like I said, the same prompt on both. Now, Gemini and Claude are different, but between ChatGPT and DeepSeek, and got extremely similar results. So I'm not seeing a big difference, but I think it might be a little bit genius to release, DeepSeek is free, and just imagine how much training it's getting across the globe right now, because so many people are diving in deep because it is, free and then open source. So very interesting. So, well, this has been quite interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sure, I hope it's the open source will allow others to jump into the market. I think it's just going to allow more players, which is usually benefit for the consumer.
Yeah. True. Well, this has been really good information and very interesting, the IP and AI, and it's a good time to have these conversations. So I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. I know that the listeners might want to reach out to you and, of course, talk to you about Braun. How can they reach out to you and connect with you?
Yes, best way is by email. I'll do that email. It's info@braun.com. That's info at BRON-AI.com. And they can send me any inquiry, and I was fine.
Fantastic. Okay, great. I'll make sure that those are in the show notes so that people can reach out to you. And again, thank you so much for your time. This has been a really great conversation. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Marilyn. I hope to speak here. And yes, I had a great thing.
Thanks for joining me today for this episode. As we wrap up, I'd love for you to do two things. First, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you find value here, I'd love it if you would rate it and review it. That really does make a difference in helping other people to discover this podcast. Second, you can connect with me on LinkedIn to keep up with what I'm currently learning and thinking about. And if you're ready to take the next step with a digital strategist to help you grow your law firm, I'd be honored to help you. Just go to lawmarketingzone.com to book a call with me. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. Until then, as always, thanks for listening to Leadership in Law Podcast, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Leadership in Law Podcast. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of law firm owners out there facing similar challenges and striving for the same success. Head over to our website at lawmarketingzone.com. From there, connect with other listeners, access valuable resources, and stay up to date on the latest episodes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep leading with vision and keep growing your firm.